German media says the aircraft was grounded 24 hours before the crash. Today, experts are already examining one of the recovered black boxes, the cockpit voice recorder. It's been damaged, but may still provide evidence.
There is nothing left, save for a few pieces of large debris about the size of a standard car. Searchers in the Alps will be recovering what's left of Flight 9525 in bags. That's how hard the impact was with an alpine mountain. There is a mystery here that needs to be unraveled, and plenty of caution about using that one word some people move towards automatically because it's topical and sometimes easy. Let's welcome to MidPoint former senior air safety investigator for the Federal Aviation Administration, now partner at Aviation Accident Investigation and Consulting. Bob Drake joins MidPoint today. Bob, thank you so much for being here.
Good day, sir. It's my pleasure.
Bob, I want to use that one word that I just alluded to right here up front because it has now begun to creep into some of the news coverage. Terrorism. People are starting to tease it. They're starting to talk about it. But is it not fair to say, and I know you're looking at this from a faraway distance here and taking in a lot of the information, that they are correct in saying there is no evidence that this could possibly be a terrorist attempt?
At this point, the aircraft had no indications of erratic motions, a dive-type situation. It's totally uncertain at this point as to whether it was a terrorist activity.
But what we would be looking for, the markers, if you will, of what might indicate something like that, that's what's missing at this point, correct?
Yes, it was appeared to be a controlled descent on a straight heading. For some unknown reason, I see no direct marker, as you say, of a terrorist act.
All right, let's put that one to bed right now because I think it's a little hyperbolic at this point for some people to immediately start making that jump. So let's look at some of the realities here and what we are now beginning to understand. One of the Lufthansa chief executives told reporters in Frankfurt, and this statement stuck with me, it is inexplicable this could happen to a plane free of technical problems and with an experienced Lufthansa-trained pilot. I think the word that caught me there was inexplicable. Would you agree with that?
No, not totally. We have seen in the past where the cockpit crew have missed a gradual or even moderate descent and have flown the aircraft into terrain. So, no, but there should have been significant warnings going on within the cockpit to alert the crew to that issue that was taking place. So.
Let's make sure we get that out there. If there are enough warning systems in the cockpit of this aircraft that if something was happening, there was an anomaly of any sort, and if the crew was actually still cogent and awake and alert,
yeah,
they would hear those warnings. They couldn't miss them if they were awake, correct?
That is correct. That is correct. If the autopilot came off, they would have known. If there were any other systems issues, they would have been warned. Yes, they would have known.
With regard then to that, and again, I realize that we're all extrapolating here, but we're all still searching for answers at this point. With regard to that and looking at the fact that this plane continued on a straight course here for a while, does that indicate to you the possibility that there was some sort of a small air leak, if you will, something that was perhaps drawing oxygen out of the cockpit and that would then incapacitate the flight crew?
At the altitude, they have anywhere from 5 to 7 seconds before they would go unconscious at 38 to 39,000 feet. And the quick donning masks, if for some reason the system didn't alert them to a pressure drop, have to be able to be put on within 5 seconds. There is I'll call it remote possibility that it could have been a incapacitation due to hypoxia.
So in your expert opinion then, because you're looking at this, you've looked at a number of crashes, is this something so very rare that it really catches your attention because of that it just seems to be so unique? And B then, what is the first thing that speaks to you as the first couple of very most likely logical possibilities?
Well, I would find the pressurization loss. There's enough alarm systems built into the aircraft to alert the crew that they have a pressurization problem. And then in order for the aircraft to just initiate the descent that it did, they would have to have selected that descent rate on their autopilot, or if for some reason they inadvertently cut the autopilot off, the problem is if you do that, there's an alarm that tells you the autopilot is off. Beyond that, if they got busy taking care of an emergency of some shape, form, or fashion, they could have intentionally turned the autopilot off and then somehow got distracted. Another possibility is an engine issue could have created and the inability to remain at the altitude, and they started descent. But my problem is there were no distress calls regarding any type of emergency situation that they were involved in. So
I've got about 60 seconds left. Let me ask you two quick questions here, pointed questions.
Yes, sir.
And again, we're guessing. I understand that we're going to say that out loud here. We're assuming a lot here. Is
Exactly.
it possible, A, that someone may have broached the cockpit door to get into the flight deck, or B, that someone committed suicide?
that's always a possibility. But for something like this, that no distress call was put out, I would think it's remote, but you can never say never. So that would.
With regard to the doors, is there, you know how these doors are secured. Could someone have
Correct.
broached it from the passenger side?
I don't think so. Those are very secure doors. Unless there was an anomaly with the door itself, that it did not latch properly, or there was a problem with the door, they may have been able to access the cockpit, but I find that hard to believe.
A mystery that we'll continue to follow. Bob Drake, fascinating to get a lot of your expertise in it. Thank you so much. We'll look forward to speaking again.
Thank you, sir.
Take care. It was only a matter of time before cars were made smart enough to keep the driver from speeding, and another car you might want to avoid if you're a careless teenager. The Car Coach is next on MidPoint.